So you're a leader. Now what? How do you maintain a thriving personal business while developing your team and being there to support them in a way that doesn't make you feel like you're going crazy? So I wanted to encourage you today with one word, and that is simplify. So I hope as you are reading the Fundamental 2 about making a plan, you don't use this opportunity to add in a whole whack of things that you're not already doing, but I hope you look at it as a chance to really hone down the things that are working well in your business and throwing your time and energy at that. But you may be thinking, how do I actually lead my team along with running a thriving personal business? And I think that's a really great question, because the Norwex core values are integrity, trust, and respect. So as leaders, we do not leave behind the things that we did to get us to the place we're at, but we actually keep doing those things in a spirit of honoring the respect, integrity, and trust that Norwex has placed on us as leaders. We want to be able to lead our teams from a place where we are actually doing the things we're training them to do. And so you do not get to a point in your Norwex business where you set aside parties, but you continue to lead by example. However, there's ways for you to do that where you're actually bringing your team into what you're already doing. So you're maximizing the time you have. So as you think about creating a plan, I want you to think of the word simplify. And then I also want you to think of the word blend. So we can often think of our different hats in our business. We have a leadership hat and we have a consultant hat. We actually only have one hat. And our entire business, we're so blessed to be in a business where everything fits together. So when I'm running a party, whether that's in-home or online, I bring my team into those activities that I'm already doing for my customers and hosts because I'm maximizing my time and impact. And it actually is a much better training time than if you just did a specific party for your new consultant. When you bring them into something you're already doing, they get to see you in action. They get to see you doing it real life. They get to see real customers answer or ask real questions and you answer them. So bringing your team into what you're already doing and blending your business and your leadership is really key to managing your time and making it an achievable goal to continue running your business at the pace you want while supporting your team. So I want you to also think through the urgency that people may message you with, and think about the fact that you are responsible for your time and where you spend it with your Norwex business. So you may be thinking to yourself, okay, I'm getting these frantic messages at 10:30 from my team members, and I don't want them to think that I'm not paying attention. But as one of my good friends often reminds me, there's no such thing as a Norwex microfiber emergency. And we do not have to get pulled into other people's angst just because they sent us a message. If that is not a time you're planning on working, if that is not something you have time to do, then you set it aside. And I'm gonna tell you something that actually I've learned that makes life really awesome. When you let your team figure out their own questions, they don't continue to use you as their first resource and they say to you, oh my goodness, I figured it out, no worries. That is what you want for your team. You want them to be self-sufficient and you don't want to feel like you're constantly having to be their go-to person. So I encourage you to not just jump the minute you get a message, but let some time sit because it's not an emergency and you will only continue to be their first resource if you are always answering their questions. So how do you spend your time as a leader and how do you figure that out? Well, I want you to always start with your why. If you do not know why you're doing this business, you will be more ineffective and you will often burn out. So I want you to start with why. Why are you doing this? And your why may change. Mine has changed probably 4 or 5 times in the last 7 years. That's okay. But when I know my why, my impact is so much greater. And so I encourage you to not just think to yourself, oh, I'm just going to continue on. You may have started for one reason, but you're going to continue for a different reason. So being in touch with your why is going to blend into the rest of your business and allow you to have that impact that you want. The next thing you're going to do, focus on your personal business. We already touched on this. You're not going to be able to move past a personal business as a strong leader. You're going to want to continue that personal business so that you can demonstrate to your team that this is how you do it. Not this is how I did it, or this is how I've heard other people do it. You want to bring them into something that you are doing. You're also going to want to focus next on your new consultants. This is their one shot at being a new consultant. They are very eager to hear from you and they're very coachable. This is the time for you to focus in on them and really give them the best of you so that you have the ability to kind of impact what the rest of their Norwex journey looks like. This is the time when they're excited, and this is the time when you're going to want to just grab and partner with them in a way that they are excited about. And then you're going to want to take those new consultants and move them into leadership. People may think that, oh, I don't know enough to be a leader, but a newer consultant is the perfect person to be a team coordinator, because there's nothing that solidifies their decision to be a Norwex consultant more than partnering with people and having that added camaraderie and accountability of working with people. It's really easy to quit Norwex when you don't have any bookings on your calendar and nobody's counting on you. It's pretty easy just to walk away. But when you have other people that are with you, watch out, because they're going to stick in it for the long haul. Then you're going to want to work with your building consultants and leaders, people who've already team coordinator, your sales leaders, people who are working this business and who want to grow. And that's the key. You're going to want to match effort for effort. You're not going to want to spend all of your time on that outer ring of the casual consultant who's just curious about product questions and has no desire to do anything more in this business than just place a 250 order every 6 months. That's not where you're going to spend your time. You're going to spend your time and more of your time on those inner rings, and then just kind of let those things bleed out to the outer ring. And so when you think about your business as kind of like the rings of leadership, it helps simplify. You are in charge of where you spend your time. So when your team needs you, but it's not something that is what you have the time for in that day, it's okay to let it go. You want to look to your team like this is something achievable and doable, not like you were some sort of like superwoman who, manages amazing amounts of people and time and business, and they're like, I could never do that. You want to be duplicatable, and so the way you do that is bringing your team into what you're doing in your personal business. It's by simplifying, so you're doing things well, but you're not doing a million different things, and it's by really focusing on the other priorities you have in your life to keep you in balance. So Judy Latane told me this analogy once when I was at a really critical point in my leadership journey. I had just become senior leader and I was at a very vulnerable time in my personal life. I was just coming out of massive crisis and I was feeling really overwhelmed about how do I continue to do this business well for my family, but give Norwex what I want to give it at the same time. Is that even possible? And she told me this amazing analogy of when you milk a cow and you fill a bucket up with milk, to basically separate the cream from the milk, you have to let it sit. And so she said that time of resting, that is the time, preferably at the beginning of the day, where you just sit and rest. Maybe that's reading a Bible, maybe that's doing devotions, reading a personal book, meditating, something that is quiet, that sets the tone for the day. And she said during that time, what happens is the milk separates from the cream and the cream rises to the top. And she said that cream is the best of you and you're gonna give that to your family. And I cannot tell you how that has defined the way I view my business over the last 4 or 5 years. It has really allowed me to feel confident and good about the way I'm running my business. My family is going to get the best of me. And if I have to choose between my business and my family, it's going to be my family because that is key. However, after you scoop the cream off, there's a huge bucket of milk. There's so much left after you've kind of given the best of yourself to something that you really deeply care about. There's still so much left for Norwex. And so I encourage you to think about your business as a thing that has the ability to impact. And you are going to have an amazing opportunity to impact others through this business while blessing your family and keeping the right priorities. And if you are feeling like, how do you balance it in the day-to-day? I want you to remember that when you are riding a bike, it's all about balance. But the thing about riding a bike is you're never just sitting completely stock still. You're always shifting your weight from side to side. And what that allows you to do is balance. And so when you are balancing, everything is not completely even, but it's a matter of just shifting your weight to whatever needs it to keep that balance. And so maybe when you are at a fast pace, things are shifting much faster than when you're driving your bike at a slow pace, but either way, you're shifting. And so do not look at balance as something that you just achieve by kind of staying still and kind of hoping everything around you sifts down. It's by throwing your weight back and forth as you continue forward and you continue to balance on the vehicle that you're in.